Yeah,
Milos
obviously
loves glycogen loading, and we know his whole protocol.
Yeah.
Him and I we debated it. He believes in fully glycogenating the muscle with insulin and carbs, and it works on a lot of people, but on other people, it just bloats them out, and it just ruins their aesthetics. And I think that's just the case with Samson. I think that's the problem. But we'll find out. When he moves on to someone else. He has a good question. Who do you think he'll go to?
That's what I was about to ask.
Speculate.
Literally what I was about to ask.
Okay. I read your mind.
A lot of people are saying in my comments, because I've sort of like looked at the comments and seen a lot of people were saying Hany Rambod, but Hany Rambod obviously only works with Evogen athletes unless it's Chris Bumstead. So
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Even if he was an athlete, he wouldn't work with him, I don't think.
What's up, Stan?
He's already got the top two guys. What does he need him for? I think Chris Aceto would be a good match for him, to be honest with
you. Yeah, I mean, Chris is definitely a condition guy. Someone you guys, John and Stan, work with, Patrick Tuor. He'd be a great guy for Samson as well, because he's definitely known as one of those condition guys too. What do you guys think about that?
I was just about to say, I know Hany would probably bring him to that next level, but I know Hany wouldn't work with him because of the whole Evogen thing. Maybe he would. Who knows? I don't know. But I think if Patrick were able to get his hands on him, I just and this isn't like because I'm with Patrick. This is because I've seen how Patrick works and how involved he is and how much he cares, and how we've taken notes over the last 2 years. Like, the dude brings out things like, oh, this is what we did, peaking for the Chicago Pro. This is what we did peaking for Tampa. This is what we did peaking for the show. As I just told you, we already know what the difference is between Friday look and Saturday look, and how we're going to change that. Like, he's just so involved that I think, maybe a show or two, he'd figure out how to get Samson really dialed in, and we might see the best. And
the reason I say Chris is because I say look at Sean Roden, look at Cedric McMillan. He's worked with guys that have similar physiques to Samson, and a similar look and similar problems, getting in shape. So I think that would be a good fit for him because of that.
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris is also a phenomenal coach.
Yeah.
Who do you think, Stu?
Yeah, I think probably Patrick or Chris. Do I think that they're the best fit? I can't really comment. I haven't worked with them. I don't know a whole lot about what they do. But yeah, it'll be a big name for sure. We know that. It's always got to be something in the news for us to talk about who he's going with next.
Yeah,
there'll be lots of gossip afterwards, and
it's crazy to become that, right? Like, we talk about everything to do with everything on people. Like, oh, he's going with this.
It's kind of a boring sport, man. Like,
maybe he'll do his own diet.
Talk about
maybe he'll do his own diet.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he'll do his own. I think Stefan, Patrick, someone in Europe would be great for him. Someone that could travel to him and really have his hands on him.
Yeah,
Stefan went to the UK was with James a lot, and like that worked out great for them.
There's some other names to mention as well that could be potential coaches of Samson Dauda going forward. These are people that people have suggested in the comments on YouTube. Neil Hill was one that came up a whole ton. Chad Nichols. Stu, I know you suggested your coach, Blue Taylor. You said he would work really well with him. We mentioned Hany. Matt Jansen as well. AJ Sims. He's obviously known as being a conditioning guy as well. So there's tons of coaches out there. There's tons I'm forgetting off the top of my head as well. But is there any other names that you guys see there that you think would also suit Samson based off, what do we know? We don't know all their protocols and stuff like that, but we all sort of hear things over time.
Yeah.
Basically just named all of them, dude.
Yep. No, I mean, out of those guys, is there any extra guys like Matt Jansen or anyone else that you think would work well with Samson?
I think just anyone really like that's specific, like their specialty is like conditioning. I think that's what he needs, because he have no issue with fullness whatsoever.
Right.
So he just
I tell people, when I worked with Tony Freeman back in the day, Tony was a guy that couldn't eat carbs. You give him one carb meal, like the day of the show, or maybe one the night before, and he was full of the house and round and separated. If you gave him like 6 carb meals, then he smoothed out. And I don't know, I don't understand why, but when you talk about, I think it's important to understand that guys are genetic freaks. Okay, they're genetic freaks for a reason, because their bodies don't respond like everyone else's. They'll build muscle on like 100 grams a day of protein. You see these guys on the street drinking beers, and they have fucking tons of muscle on their body, and they eat no protein. So
Michael
you're
Lockett
talking
style.
about like you're talking about a genetic animal that like doesn't respond, to the normal biological, certainties that we know, eating a lot of protein, doing this, that, and that. So a lot of times you have to be a creative coach to work with someone like that, because you have to figure out their body. You're not going to plug it into your template that you use with with 90% of the people that you work with and have it work, because he's not a typical person. His body likes to build muscle. It doesn't like to deplete or lose muscle or fat. And so you have to figure out techniques. And usually with guys like that, at least in my experience, especially working with Tony and Akeem over the years, is you have to starve them for a couple of days, but then you have to feed them. You can't do anything consistently, because if you do something consistently, their bodies adapt. Because what their bodies are adept at doing is not losing anything. Their bodies want to hold. They want to hold. That's why they're so hypermuscular. And so you have to play around constantly with the diet, changing it constantly. And that seems to work. And so if you're a creative thinker, I think those will be the coaches that will work best with him.
In that sense, because Aceto would be great for sure. Yeah. Definitely things outside the box.
Yeah.
I'm curious if any of you guys know what his contest preps look like, because I mean, some guys will like share on YouTube exactly what they're eating throughout the course of the day. Like, is Samson eating fish and green beans for 6 weeks, or like is he having weekly cheat meals? I know for a fact he doesn't eat fish. He refuses to eat fish.
Oh, really? Interesting.
I imagine because he just doesn't like it, which, I mean, he's
Right.
fucking third place in the world, dude. Eat the fish.
You eat the fish.
Even if it doesn't
Ronnie
work,
would eat
like,
for 8
it
weeks.
might.
Eat fish and veg.
Yeah, I know Sean Roden used to just, I remember Chris, I think it was on your show, Dave, he was talking about like when he prepped him for that Olympia, he was like 2-3 weeks on like 40 grams of carbs or something.
Yeah.
And then he was talking
the whole prep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then, I think he talked to his, I think he was talking to his training partner or something. I forget who. And he was like, I think you're going to get a bird today. He's like, yeah, I hope so. And then he got one the next day or something like that.
Well, Stan was there with him. So,
Was that okay?
It was me, but he thought he was going to have a refeed. So he was looking forward to it. And then it happened, the refeed, he called me. He was like, we were on our way to the gym. He was like, can you do me a huge favor? I was like, yeah, what's up? Can you pick up the biggest apple you can find? I was like, okay. And that's what Aceto gave him, like a big apple. That was pre-workout. But he was eating like a quarter cup of oats for like 12 weeks. A pound of fish every meal.
Yeah.
No carbs.
Yeah. So like that works, right? But I don't know if Samson's ever done that. I know Milos is pretty big on carbs and insulin, generally speaking, right? So you see a guy with conditioning issues, you see a coach who loves insulin, and you're like, why? If it works for some people, probably not for him. I'm speculating, like we love to do, because we don't know what he's eating every day. But sometimes this stuff is a case of like Akeem literally has to eat thin air. I know a couple of people who know him pretty good, and like you coached him before, Dave. Yeah.
I coached him for many years. Yeah, many years.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed this short clip from a full episode of Bodybuilding University, which is now available on desktop bodybuilding podcasts and interviews. The link to that is in the description below the full episode, and make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell button on that channel. But also, if you did enjoy this one, give this video a thumbs up, smash that like button, also subscribe and click the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up for myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. So for Xavier Wills, this is Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are out.